Welcome to Wiretap for the week of July 9th. And with me today, I've got Michelle Paris, the VP Strategy, who has a focus on mobile.
Hello.
So welcome.
Hi, Brad.
So what we're talking about today is one of the stories in The Wire. Came through eMarketer, but it's a third party did the study. And it's all about how people are starting to go mobile only. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's not necessarily a surprising trend, Brad. What we see from a market perspective is more and more mobile devices out in the field, both iOS and Android, with a few other competitors still struggling along, so to speak. But the penetration rates seem to be getting higher and higher, both in the U.S. and in Canada. In Canada, we're looking at about 50% of all subscriptions, mobile subscriptions that are out there, tend to be smartphones, so that people have access to. Sorry, just a bit of traffic around here.
It is what it is.
Yep, people have access to data services. They have access to ongoing applications such as social networking, email, and obviously browsers as well. So, there's a greater presence of this in the marketplace, and as well there's a greater uptake of cloud-based services where you have an account and you can access all of your information and those services through mobile devices. You're essentially extending the usage behaviors of what we primarily saw on desktop platforms across mobile. People are on the go. They're using these as companion devices when we think about tablets. And they're getting to a point now where with the user experience and also the capacity of these devices, people don't necessarily need a desktop to be able to engage with them.
That's interesting, and I've got the list here. The stuff that they seem to be heading to mobile only for is, email. I guess that's not too surprising. Internet search, Facebook. What do you think about the types of services that are going mobile only?
I think that those types of services tend to be episodic. So they're context-driven. You can snap in, you can dive into your email for 5 minutes at a time. It's not necessarily something that requires a huge amount of bandwidth and also technical capacity to be able to access. And as well, oftentimes emails they only require a few words here and there. And as well, when we deal with email, there tends to become a shorthand type of vernacular. You're not necessarily composing long messages. You're not necessarily composing things that deal with README or require file sharing or file association, such as PDFs and images, videos, etc. It tends to be a very conversational type of engagement. With internet search, it's primarily context-driven. In the moment of need, you are requiring information about a particular thing, an item, a service, a restaurant, what have you. With geolocative services attached to most mobile devices, internet search tends to be driven by the question of what do I need right now in this particular place, and is served extremely well by these devices. With social networking, again, that taps into a little bit of what we see with email, so it's episodic experiences, they're conversational, they're ongoing. It's, again, not necessarily too big of a surprise to see that mobile only is becoming the place for these. And one other piece around that as well is that it's also about user-generated content and experiences. People are sharing more, and they're sharing what's happening around them at a particular point in time.
That's right, yeah. I've got my camera here. I can just take a picture, throw it up on Facebook, and put a comment.
Exactly. I can, check into Foursquare, and that also ties into a little bit around online shopping or m-commerce, which we see a greater rise in, and especially when we look at the demographic split within this particular eMarketer survey, where 31% of the female respondents are using mobile only for online shopping. Women tend to be the primary decision makers around purchases in a household. So when you have an increased availability of m-commerce services from merchants, then that also feeds into, providing them with a service at the moment of need.
Okay, nice. And what do you think this means for pharma marketers? So how can we put this in context for what a pharmaceutical marketer needs to be thinking of when they see this data about mobile only?
I think that it's providing platforms for consumers to access their content or services at the moment of need. So people are going to be on the go. They're not necessarily going to have the ability to download cumbersome forms or cumberless types of documentation. How do you create something that is viewable and accessible on a small screen or a multiple series of screens going from smartphone to tablet to desktop? I think that going mobile first, which is something that we at Klick really support, is a way to think about how do you engage a consumer wherever they are, whenever they are, on whatever device.
So like, yeah, so I'm in the waiting room before I see the doctor. I've just talked to the doctor, and I'm still in the interview room. I'm going home. I've got my prescription.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all points where the moment of need is out of the home.
Exactly. And
Okay.
you're also in the doctor's office and you're looking at your electronic medical record that you could possibly pull up on your mobile device in a secure way that allows you to go through your history with your healthcare provider at that point of time. Or you're in a Walgreens or a Shoppers Drug Mart and you need more information that you can work with a pharmacist or on your own with branded information on your mobile device when you're actually in front of the rack of drugs, as an example.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for being my interviewee on Wiretap today.
You're welcome, Brad. Anytime.